Flashbacks can be an extremely stressful, confusing experience to go through because they are so often depicted in film in a really particular way. Today we're going to try and clear up some of the misconceptions that exist about what flashbacks are, the 4 different kinds, and a few ideas to help yourself through them. Welcome or welcome back. I'm Rosie, hi. I'm a disabled UK-based counsellor specialising in supporting disabled, neurodiverse and chronically ill people with their mental health. Alongside private counselling, I also make these videos to support people who are struggling with their mental health. These videos are here to offer you psychoeducation and support, especially for those of you who can't access counselling right now, but they aren't a replacement for professional therapy, so please bear that in mind. Today we're talking about something that is very commonly misunderstood, the 4 different kinds of flashbacks. Before I dive in, I so want to state that this video might be triggering to some viewers, so please remember that you can click off of this video at any time if you need to, or you can just skip it altogether. The reality is that not all flashbacks involve seeing memories play out like a movie, and unfortunately the perception of flashbacks as being this way means that people experiencing the other kinds of flashback may in fact miss some of the signs they're experiencing flashbacks at all. Some people never experience visual flashbacks at all, but still experience trauma responses that are just as distressing and as disruptive. Understanding this can be incredibly validating because many people spend years wondering, why do I react like this, or why do I suddenly feel unsafe when nothing bad is actually happening? So, let's talk about it. First and foremost, what is a flashback? We can't really have a video about flashbacks without explaining the fundamentals of what a flashback is. So, at its crudest, a flashback is when your nervous system reacts as though a past traumatic experience is happening again in the present. Traumatic memories are often stored quite differently from ordinary memories in the brain and in the body too. As a result, rather than feeling like something that happened in the past is in the past, it can feel immediate, current, and emotionally real. And because trauma can be stored through thoughts, emotions, body sensations, and sensory experiences, flashbacks can show up in several very different ways. So let's go through the 4 types together now that we have an understanding of what flashbacks are. The first is visual flashbacks. That's the type that most people think of. It's the one that's the most easily visually adapted to cinema and translated onto screen, which is probably why. A visual flashback involves seeing images, memories, or scenes connected to a traumatic event. For some people, this may feel like vividly reliving part of an event or an entire event. For others, it may involve brief mental images, flashes of memory, or seeing certain details repeatedly. That can look like seeing parts of an accident replaying in your mind, or remembering someone's face with extreme clarity, or seeing flashes of the room or environment where the trauma took place. Reliving specific moments of abuse or neglect is common too, or feeling as though you're literally back in the situation again. It may be an overlay you see over the top of the world, or a distortion, or it may be in the mind's eye. Visual flashbacks can be extremely distressing because your brain may temporarily struggle to distinguish between remembering and re-experiencing. But importantly, not everyone with trauma has visual flashbacks. And if you don't have them, it doesn't mean that your trauma wasn't serious. It simply means that your brain is processing your trauma the way it is predisposed to. Every brain responds slightly differently to different situations after all. The second kind, emotional flashbacks, is the one that I think is talked about far too little. An emotional flashback is when you suddenly experience the emotions from a past traumatic experience without necessarily even remembering the event itself. It can be very, very hard to identify as a result because it isn't immediately apparent as to why you're suddenly experiencing big shifts in mood or emotion. You may not have images or memories that accompany this. You may simply feel overwhelmed by feelings that seem to appear kind of out of nowhere. That can look like suddenly feeling intense shame, or feeling terrified of abandonment, or experiencing overwhelming guilt, feeling helpless, trapped, or unsafe. Feeling like a frightened child despite being an adult's common too. Becoming convinced that you've done something terribly wrong is also common. Emotional flashbacks are particularly common in people who have experienced childhood trauma or emotional neglect and or abuse, bullying, chronic invalidation, or complex trauma. Because if you repeatedly experience fear, shame, rejection, or criticism growing up, your nervous system may have learned to expect those experiences. Then something small in the present can trigger those old emotions. It can be something like a disagreement or a change in somebody's tone, feeling ignored, making a mistake, and suddenly your emotional response feels enormous and might seem disproportionate, not because you're overreacting, but because your nervous system is responding to both the present situation and the unresolved emotions from the past at the same time. Somatic or body flashbacks are the third kind. Trauma is not only stored in memories and emotions, it can also be stored in the body. So a somatic flashback involves physical sensations that are connected to traumatic experiences. This can be incredibly confusing because the sensations often appear without any kind of conscious memory attached to them. So you might experience things like chest tightness, nausea, shaking, muscle tension, feeling frozen, difficulty breathing, feeling physically small or vulnerable, and literal pain or pressure in certain parts of your body. Sudden exhaustion and an intense urge to escape are common too. Your body remembers experiences that your conscious mind may not even fully recall. Trauma responses can be really confusing to the person experiencing them because often they become embedded in the nervous system. You may not have a big memory attached to these sensations, though that can sometimes be the case. Sometimes this is just hypervigilance in the body manifesting as a danger cue, and unfortunately your nervous system doesn't distinguish between a reminder of danger and actual danger. The last kind is sensory flashbacks, and these occur when there's certain sounds, smells, tastes, textures, or environments that suddenly evoke traumatic responses. Trauma memories are often strongly linked to sensory information, so you might notice it in, a particular smell making you feel panicked, or a song suddenly causing intense distress, a certain type of lighting that feels unsafe, specific sounds making your heart race, certain places causing overwhelming discomfort, or a particular texture triggering fear or deep disgust. And sometimes people feel embarrassed by these reactions because the trigger seems quite small on the surface, but sensory information is incredibly powerful. Our brains are constantly associating sensory experiences with safety or danger, like, the smell of lavender in sleepiness, or the feeling of a hot cup of tea in the hands as a comfort. That's very British of me. And trauma can create strong associations that persist for many years. This is one reason people can be triggered by things that appear completely unrelated to their trauma on the surface. Your nervous system may simply be recognizing a sensory cue that was present during a difficult experience. There are a lot of reasons why understanding flashbacks matters. I think one of the most painful aspects of trauma for survivors is how confusing it can feel for the person experiencing it. You can have a perfectly ordinary day and then suddenly feel terrified or ashamed, angry, numb, unsafe. And I've heard clients talk about this too many times to think it's a coincidence. There's a pattern of thought that comes alongside these intrusive experiences, a feeling that it doesn't make sense. You may think things along the lines of, why am I reacting like this? I am being dramatic. I should be over it. Something is wrong with me. And these thoughts use a very particular fuel source, shame. But understanding flashbacks can help to reduce some of that shame, because these responses often are signs that your nervous system has learned to protect you in the only way it knew how. Unfortunately, sometimes it keeps sounding the alarm long after the danger has passed. So we're going to talk a little bit about early signs that you might be entering a flashback. And I want to acknowledge that some people might find this distressing, so please bear that in mind. It is to help you recognize some of the signs that you can then apply strategies to that hopefully are supportive. But as I said, I appreciate it may not be easy to listen to these and could potentially be triggering, so please listen at your discretion. So there are a lot of different signs that you might be entering a flashback. There's emotional, physical, and cognitive signs to think about. Let's start with some of the physical signs. That might be that your heart suddenly races, or you feel frozen by distress, or breathing changes. Your body might feel heavy and tense, or you might feel disconnected from your surroundings. And then there are emotional signs. That could be intense shame, sudden fear, feeling much younger than your age, feeling trapped or helpless, strong urges to hide or people please or escape. And finally, there are some cognitive signs too, such as catastrophic thoughts, difficulty concentrating, confusion, feeling like you're back there, and difficulty remembering that you're safe now. So what can help? I'm going to state the obvious here, so forgive me if it feels like I'm flogging a dead horse. But getting help is helpful. Professional help through counselling, somatic work to help you process it, EMDR, talking therapies like person-centered counselling are all great ways of receiving support. But it extends beyond getting help professionally when I say get help. I'm also talking about the safe people in your life who you can talk to about these experiences you've been through. But you may be more interested in contemplating what can help you in the moment. So let's talk about that briefly. The first thing is recognizing what's happening. Even just saying, I think I'm having a flashback, can help orient your brain towards the present, because you're acknowledging that it happened, not that it's currently happening. Grounding techniques can also help you to remain in the present, so that might be like naming 5 things you can see to help your brain remember the present, touching something with texture, reminding yourself of today's date, moving your body gently, slowing your breathing down, taking in a new sensory experience like splashing cold water on the face, for example, or hands. That can also help depending on the nature of the trauma. And perhaps most importantly, speaking to yourself with compassion, because having a flashback doesn't mean you've gone backwards. It doesn't mean you're failing at recovery either. I hear that a lot. Flashbacks happen because your nervous system has been through experiences that taught it to stay alert to danger. There's no reason to try to understand flashbacks through a moral lens. It doesn't say anything about your value as a person if you're experiencing flashbacks. Flashbacks are just a response from your brain and body after it's experienced danger. That's all. It means nothing about you as a person, apart from the fact that you've been through something extremely difficult that left a mark on you. Recovery in this context often involves helping your body slowly learn that the present is not the past, and that process takes time and the right kind of support. As I said, professional support is great. Support from friends is helpful too, but the most important ingredient is finding ways to show up for yourself. Reminding yourself that you aren't what happened to you, and that you are still allowed to have responses to what has happened to you in the past. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for being here. I would really love to hear from you in the comments section below. Did you know that there were different kinds of flashback? If not, which of these was new to you? What did you learn about? We make a lot of videos here about chronic illness, neurodivergence, disability, and mental health on this channel, and your feedback genuinely helps to shape future videos, so let me know what you would like to see more of. Thank you so much for watching, and take really good care.